Or just
popped up for the inside.
Can he go all the way? Yes, he can.
Mark Creighton done on the outside.
Third edition of the Rugby Canada Report. I'm Drew Morrison. This week we take a look at the great work being done by the Canadian Rugby Foundation. We have some information on the Summer of Rugby 2009 and highlights from the Canadian Direct Insurance League. The Rugby Canada Report is brought to you by the 2009 Rugby Canada Fishing Classic. Since September 2009, Matthuw Ronald Jones has been working as the Canadian Rugby Foundation Executive Director. On Thursday, Matthuw spoke of how the foundation came into existence and spoke of the foundation's most recent successes as they fundraise for the Canadian Women's Sevens.
We had a meeting, and we've got a couple board members that sit on the Rugby Canada board as well. It came to our attention that the girls, in preparation for the Rugby World Cup in Dubai, the girls needed to have a training camp, and that they were also going to need to get down to San Diego to the USA Sevens and participate in that tournament to get some solid competition before they headed off. The shortfall with the spending right now and the way the economy is that there was not enough money available to fully fund those girls to go without having to reach into their own pockets. One of the things we'd like to see down the road is this pay-to-play model would be eliminated for both the men and the women. Canadian Rugby Foundation was established in 2002 by 7 passionate rugby fans, and they got together and said, you know, we need to invest some money for 15, 20 years down the road. So we're going to need to have a pool of, you know, $20, $40 million that all we're doing is spending the interest. And the goal and the vision is all we want to see is more kids, boys and girls, playing rugby coast to coast, north and south. So we just want to encourage clubs, communities to get together and build more rugby for young kids.
The Summer of Rugby campaign is officially up and running, as details of Canada's 3 big games were announced in a major email and website campaign last week. Ireland travels to Vancouver on May 23rd, then Wales is in Toronto May 30th at York University, and finally, World Cup qualifying action against the USA on July 11th in Edmonton. Rugby Canada board member Pierce Higgins says it is important to come out and support the team this summer.
Yes, the long-announced Wales test on the 30th of May at York Stadium is there, and prior to that, we have Ireland travelling to Vancouver to play Canada in a test match on the 23rd of May. So we have a nice build-up to the big game in Wales in Toronto.
You can buy tickets online through the Rugby Canada website. It is week 8 in the Canadian Direct Insurance League in BC. And with playoff spots on the line, every game has huge significance. Our West Coast reporter, Andrew Smith, was there and gives us a recap.
Week 8 of the CDI Premier League action saw the Velox Valhallians return to their home pitch to face off against the Cowichan Piggies. After suffering their first loss of the season at the hands of Capilano in Week 7, Velox were looking to get things back on track against the Piggies, who had won their first match of the season last weekend against the UBC Old Boys. Cowichan was able to hold off the home side for several phases until Canadian 7-star Braden Keys shook off his tacklers with just 6 minutes on the clock. Peter Savea's conversion had the Valhallians leading 7-0. Cowichan's line was hard to break as the squad fended off a number of Velox's attacks. Their offense failed to gain momentum, however, and the side was often retreating towards their own try line. Towards the end of the half, Velox would switch the field of play off the base of a scrum to have Peter Savea blitz down the left wing for a try. The Valhallians led 11-0 at the half. The second half was much of the same story as Velox piled on the pressure. They failed to really get their attack in full swing as Cowichan's tough tackling and Robin McDowell's clearance kicking kept them out of danger. Matthuw would convert Cowichan's only points of the match after Velox breakdown infraction. It wasn't until midway through the half that Velox would find space to see Peter Savea leap over for his second try of the match. Savea's successful conversion had the Valhallians leading 19-3. Velox would find space once more to put Aaron Frisbee over for the final try of the match. Savea's conversion then had his side leading 26-3. The Valhallians failed to close out the game with an impressive effort. Combined with their errors, Cowichan's defense pressed on to keep the score respectable at 26-3. Here's what try scorer Peter Savea had to say after the match.
Yeah, it's pretty tough from last week, but today is going to be a little bit better for us and to keep our boys up and keep training hard. Yes, part of our team. It's pretty tough competition, but it's good for us to learn some more experience and for our team to keep it up and go for it.
Other scores from around the CDI. A Friday night tilt between the Castaway Wanderers and UVic Vikes. Nearly 500 on hand at Centennial Stadium to see these two teams finish in a 20-20 deadlock. CW have a 5-1-1 record, while the Vikes are 4-2-1. Saturday action saw Capilano dominate 44-0 over Burnaby Lake to stay on top of the CDI standings with a 7-0-1 record. Burnaby mired in last place at 0-7-1. James Bay was on the mainland to play the Rowers at Brockton Oval. Not even close, 53-0, as the Bays improved to 5-2-1 on the year. The UBC Old Boy Ravens took on the UBC Thunderbirds, and it ended up deadlocked at 10-10. Ravens still looking for the first win of the year with an 0-7-1 record. The T-Birds are 3-4-1, good for 8th spot. The Lomas were at the Shark Tank, taking on Bayside. The M's taking it 39-18 to hold down second spot with a 6-0-2 record. And that's a wrap for this week's Rugby Canada Report. The report is produced in cooperation with the College of Sports Media. Check them out online at collegeofsportsmedia.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again real soon. I'm Drew Morrison.